Hello, and thank you for joining me in conversation with Rashmi. Today, my guest is an 18-year-old mental health and peace advocate, Olivia Miller. So, Olivia is the co founder and director of Bridges of Hope Project. Thank you so much, Olivia, for joining me in this conversation. Pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here today.
So, to begin with, tell me what Bridges of Hope Project is all about.
Yeah, so Bridges of Hope right now is annual events that we run. And so the whole concept is that participants and community members can send in positive messages that they'd like to see on local bridges. And then we have an event where we have speakers come out, we have wellness vendors come out, and we all celebrate putting these messages on the bridges. And it started as a response to the devastating tragedies of those who lost their lives on bridges, and we wanted to make that a really special memorial space, but we also just wanted to raise heightened awareness about mental health in the region of Waterloo. So it was kind of a mix of that, and then we've been doing them for 2 years now, and hopefully can do them this fall as well.
Mm-hmm. And when you talk about mental illness and mental health, you've had your own challenges. Can you share some about what you went through and what brought you to create this whole project and work with it?
For sure. Yeah, I struggled with mental illness at a very young age, and it has kind of been a piece of me as I've grown up, and it's been something that I'm constantly learning about. And I've always been someone who likes learning, so it hasn't necessarily been, it's had its challenges, but it hasn't been something that I've disliked. So I wanted to be there for the people who do struggle with learning and people who are going through similar things to me. So growing up with these mental health struggles was kind of key in how we started this project and how we were able to see that other people were struggling as well.
Mm-hmm. And in the challenges you went through would not be easy. So how did you seek help? How did you reach out? Like if people today in today's times with all the challenges that people are having, economic, financial, and isolation, what would you tell them to do, or how would you suggest they reach out to people and connect with them?
For sure. I think that counseling was huge in my journey. And I've always had a counselor. I can't remember a time when I haven't. And it's been about switching it up. If I think that it's not working for me anymore, I've had to learn to not get frustrated with that and understand that there's going to be somebody out there that I really connect with and to not give up on that. But I do understand that counseling is not an option for everybody. So I do know, especially during this time, there are some apps that you can actually use that act as kind of your counselor and they check in with you every day. There's lots of meditation and gratitude apps as well. So that's something that we may have more accessible um, with us. But I do think that there is a lot of work that needs to be done to reach those people who are vulnerable already and do need that kind of support. I was very fortunate enough to be able to go to counseling, but I'm aware that not everybody is. So I do think that is something that we have to work on as a society and something that does need to be changed. But I think kind of creating a circle of people around you. I've always thought that it's cool to have a circle of people who are smarter than you because you're always learning and you're always being supported by people who know more than you. So even just focusing on who you surround yourself with can be very huge in how you support yourself and how you support each other. So those are kind of some key things that have helped me along the way.
And there's a lot of stigma still around mental health. So, people may hesitate to reach out. As before you came out and told people that, yes, I do struggle with it.
Yeah, I think one of the difficult things is that the stigma looks different for all of the different kinds of mental illnesses and the different degrees. And there's kind of a point where people can understand what you're going through with your mental health if you're still doing okay, but people find it harder to understand when you're not doing okay and you're in this difficult position. And I think I've thought a lot about the difference between understanding someone and respecting someone. And I think if our society can learn to respect what they don't necessarily understand about a person, then that's kind of a key to breaking some of these stigmas. It's just being respectful and compassionate, even if you don't quite understand what they're going through. So I'm really hopeful. It definitely was a factor for me when I was working through my own journey. I was definitely nervous at times to share my story. But it really helps me when I know that there are other people going through similar things as me, because I can kind of think of myself not necessarily as sharing my own story, but the stories of others and the people who are worried and even more nervous than me to share theirs, and I can act as their voice and support them. So having that perspective that I'm not just doing this for me, but I'm doing this for other people as well, has helped me get over that. But it's definitely still there, and I really hope that we can work on respecting each other just as a society and as we develop.
Mhm. And with Bridges of Hope project that you've created the platform for people to reach out, what can they expect in this project and what is it that they can look forward to?
For sure. I think we're definitely in a pausing period where we're kind of waiting to see what happens with the current situation and whether or not we can have events. But our page is always open for people to reach out. I'm currently running my own blog called Her Defiant Bliss, and that is a platform where people can share their stories at any point, and I talk about other mental health struggles that people may be going through, and I try to offer free resources and videos and tips. And so that is kind of what I'm focusing on right now, to reach people where they are from their homes. But hopefully in the future, we can work on new campaigns, new events, and stuff like that once kind of the situation evolves into an easier place for something like that.
Mm-hmm. In today's time with isolation, what's one suggestion you would give to them as a mental health challenge that you went through yourself? What would you suggest?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because I had already had it in my head that I was going to take this new season of my life and really focus on my relationship with myself. And I think I was lucky that way, because I already had that in my head that this was going to be a time that I was going to focus on that. And now I kind of don't have a choice because we're all in isolation. So I do have to focus on my relationship with myself. But if that's something that you weren't necessarily prepared to do, I would just encourage anybody to really try to take this head on. It can be totally scary, and I totally recommend reaching out to someone you care about and someone you trust if you're going through really difficult things. But I was already prepared to face my relationship with myself and work on it. And I think that's the most important relationship that we have. And we're kind of seeing that right now, is that if we can focus on how we talk to ourselves, how we treat ourselves during this time, then the future you that is beyond what is happening in this current situation, is going to thank you. And that can feel very daunting at times. That can feel like a lot of pressure, but it starts very small. It just starts with 10 things you're grateful for written down in a journal every night, or taking care of yourself in one simple way, like a tea every night. Just kind of starting paying attention to the relationship that you have with yourself and how you're treating yourself. That is something that I would recommend to anybody, no matter what their situation looks like, is to take those small steps towards supporting yourself during this time.
And we are quite fortunate in this country also to have that liberty to step out of the house and go for small walks around the neighborhood, unlike many other countries where, absolutely they can get out of their homes. So I think even to take advantage of it and just step out, get some fresh air, walk around the neighborhood, you don't have to go too far. Just being out in the sunshine, I think, makes a big difference as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are still pieces that we're very lucky to have, and it's hard to see those right now because it feels like a lot is being taken away from us. But if we're able to kind of shift that mindset, even just a little bit, to notice those 10 things you're grateful for, or a couple things that you feel you're doing really well at, just that little shift is going to make a huge difference into how you see your world, not even just in this difficult situation, but in situations in the future, because we know this won't be the only difficult thing that we go through. But if we can understand that and prepare that for that in the future, then we'll be better off for sure.
Great. Thank you so much, Olivia. And if people need to reach out to you, can you share with us your social media handles?
Absolutely. Yeah, I am on all social media. If you'd like to reach out to Bridges of Hope, because our inbox is always open, all of our handles are at Bridges of Hope Project. So you can check us out there for sure.
Wonderful. And you're on Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Yeah.
Great. Thanks so much. And you stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll keep in touch and stay connected.
Yes, thank you.